What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hardcore Fab Shop. I am Anthony Bronner, and on today's video we're back to work on Hookers and Blow, our 1946 Chevy pickup. And in this video I would like to see the bed back on the truck. So I wish it was as easy as just bolting it on, but it's not. Unfortunately, our fuel cell is tied in with it, so we have to have our fuel cell nailed down exactly for sure. And in the past, we've kind of evolved it a little bit already a couple of times, to the point where we're going to use some of these jerry cans that I've got right here and then kind of stack up a couple of those and turn those into our fuel cell. Well, it turns out that this bad boy right here doesn't really want to play with those very well, and I think that means that we're going to end up having to do another redesign, another evolution, I guess, if you will, of our fuel system. So I think it's going to probably end up meaning a complete rework of the whole layout of the top of the bed and the whole 9 yards. So stick around, because you're going to want to watch this one, because in this video we have to figure out exactly what we're going to do here, and we're going to have it finished by the end.
I'm out here at our favorite salvage yard, the one that we got Old Crow out of, actually. I got up early this morning and decided to wander around out here because it's a favorite place for me just to de-stress. It's quiet, it's peaceful, there's cool stuff to look at, and you never know what you're gonna find. So just thought I would walk out here for a little while this morning and straighten my head before we go in there and get after it one more time. One of the things I'm kind of actually looking for out here is a box to hide the fuel cell. And to catch you up with that, when Connor suggested those jerry cans in succession, we thought that was a great idea. We took those cans down to our good friend Aaron King of King Precision, and he's really good at TIG welding and stuff. And so he came up with a plan to put those all together, and that was looking great. But then we started getting the fuel pump from Holley and those that EFI Sniper dual Sniper kit for the top of the blower, and reading into how much fuel pressure we're really talking about with that, and the fuel volume. And when the car is in idle, that pump is going to be returning that at a very high volume, high pressure back into the fuel cells. And we started getting really nervous about those old cans being in line, not being able to control that. And we don't need those kinds of stresses. We had already bought another fuel tank, so we're reworking the bed and putting that on there. But I thought it might be kind of cool if we could find an old foot locker, old toolbox, ammo box, whatever, that we could hide the fuel cell underneath, so it still looked like an old tow truck with that new fuel cell in there, and hide all those Holley fuel parts and pieces under some rusty junk. So that's what I'm actually saying that I'm accomplishing while out here. Haven't found anything yet. There's tons of vehicles out here, of course, old trucks and vans and RVs, and I just gotta go through them all until I find what I'm looking for.
So for the fuel tank, this is just kind of a cheap eBay deal, and I originally bought it this size so that it would be able to come over here and fit in this area, kind of right here where I've got everything mounted now. And so it's that size for that, but since we've changed everything all around since I started designing this, like I said, it's going to end up here on top of the bed. It is a 1 foot by 1 foot by 29 inches is what that ends up measuring. It's not a bad little fuel cell. It does have some 6AN fittings on the top of it. Also comes with a gauge, so works out pretty good for a lot of things. I've used it on some other vehicles and stuff in the past, and it's just, like I said, a cheap eBay thing. I'll put you guys a link to it down below the video in case anybody's looking for one, and I'll try to get you some links to some of this other stuff here as well. So what I've got going on here, since we've got 6AN at the top, my fuel pump is big enough where it needs 10AN, so I'm going to come in here and put a 10AN kind of right here in this corner. I've already made up some fittings with hoses mounted to them and kind of got this all plotted out how it's going to end up being. So this is a pre-filter, and then this is my pump, And then this is the after pump filter, the 10 micron one, the really nice one. So then I've got it coming over here, and it's going to end up popping down and going through the bed here. And then once it goes through the bed, it's going to come over here to this regulator that we're going to need. And it comes in the regulator, and then we've got a return. The return is going to come back up and around and through the bed, back up to this hose, and then it's going to go right over there to another fitting in the corner of the tank. So that gets us to where we've got fuel to our regulator. Then it's regulated at the right pressure that we need. And then I'm going to bring it over here, and it's going to get mounted kind of right there alongside the fuel rail, frame rail, over here on this side. And then it's mating up with a 6AN right here. Now, that's probably going to be too small of a fuel line, but I don't have any more fuel line, and budget is getting thin, and it was here, so this is what we're using it for now. I think it's going to be fine, but once I get, or if I ever get to the point where I'm actually trying to push this thing up to higher horsepower numbers, probably going to have to go back in there and change that. But for now, I'm hoping that it's going to work, so we'll see how it goes.
I'm not very prepared. I didn't really bring the right camera gear to be bringing you guys along on this. That's close to what I'm thinking about, but no, it's not the right size. If I had brought the selfie stick, I could be walking without you guys shaking everywhere. I don't know about you guys, but I love walking around old salvage yards. You just never know what you're gonna come up with. So far, nothing that fits what I'm after. So let's look at this. It has potential. Of course, also me being unprepared, I didn't think to grab a measuring tape. That'd be too simple. But yeah, this is the kind of thing I was thinking, but I don't think that's big enough. That's too bad. Besides the fact that that is seriously welded on there. That would take a whole day just to cut that thing loose. I'll keep looking. Okay, well, I've gotten squirreled a little bit. I want to share this with you. Look at this thing. Now the lighting out here is horrible this morning, but man, I want to do something with this. I think that could be a future build. I don't know why. Van life, I guess, or something. I can just see making that into a toy hauler or a camper. Okay, back to looking. Well, I was looking in this and came across this old box, and I don't know if it's going to work or not. Terry, the owner of the place, has gone up to find me a tape measure, and we'll put tape on it and see. I don't know. It's something. Well, that ended up not being the right size, and it didn't work out. And then it started getting really windy out there, and the video quality went downhill. So I looked around a little bit more, really couldn't find anything else that would work. But while I was looking, I thought of something that we actually already owned. So I headed back to the house, dug through the garage, dug it out, found it. I don't know if you can see it sitting back there. I don't know how Anthony's gonna feel about cutting it up, but I'm hauling it into town, and we'll see what he thinks. Well, I got this. Although, you might recognize it.
I was gonna say it looks vaguely familiar.
Piper's Auto Salvage didn't have anything.
I thought we sold that at a swap meet.
No, we didn't, because the bottom was all rusted out and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought actually this one was a good candidate if it'll fit and work.
Looks like it'll fit.
Because we, cut the bottom off of it anyway and put the drop into the tank.
Did you measure it? I mean,
Yeah.
looks like it fits.
Yeah, but it's 12 by 12. I think that was 12.
Oh, yeah, that's like
right
there.
So we might have to, I don't know, lose the back. But if it's up against it.
It doesn't work because it's too long, because the boom bolt is right there. And this is kind of right at the limit.
Can we turn it this way?
I just made up all of those fittings and all of those hoses.
So, turn it this way.
Probably means we're buying more fittings.
Yeah, well, so we'll have to buy more fittings.
Alright, play around with it and see what we got here.
We spent a fortune in fittings, was a little bit more. Because I like this.
Yeah, does it even fit across the bed?
I don't know.
What was it, 34?
30 something.
34.
I was just worried that it was, you know, at least 29 was my only concern.
It's 39, so
It'll fit.
it'll actually probably fit and look pretty nice.
Move
Alright,
that out of the way. I'll put it there.
let's see if I can. I don't think I have any of these tight.
Look at that. Just like what any record truck would have, an old toolbox to throw their gear into. Toe chains and what have you.
Definitely looks good there. No question about that.
Nobody would suspect a fuel tank.
Alright, so now we got to figure out a way to make this work. Well guys, we played around with this scenario for quite a little while and trying to figure out the best way to lay it all out and all of that. And although I know that there's probably 4 or 5 things that are wrong with the way this whole scenario is set up right now, I think it's going to work. I think it's going to function for what we need it for and for our needs, at least at the moment. So I'm good with it. I think we're going to commit to this being our spot. I'm committed enough now that I've already welded some tabs to the bed to locate the tank. I've cut some rubber, set it down there for a mat for the tank to sit on. I've got the bed drilled and tapped for the pump to mount to, and I've made some brackets for some filters and lines and stuff to hook to. So at this point, we're pretty well set. We did try to mess around with like some other little toolboxes and things like this, and trying to position things in different locations, and had like 4 or 5 of those that we ended up scrounging up that we could try to hide things in. And ultimately, this is kind of the best scenario for what we've got sitting here. So I think now at this point, I need to go ahead and cut up that trunk and make it fit on here. It's going to take a little more modification than just cutting the bottom out and slipping it over there now. So I'm going to have to get a little creative on that, and we'll see how it turns out. Alright, Connor's been bolting panels on, drilling and tapping and all that fun stuff. I've got the box sitting here looking pretty decent now. Can't see any of the pumps or any of the lines, so that's pretty cool. I did find an old bolt that I was able to make a bracket in here and be able to bolt it down up here. And I need to probably put another bolt, say like in each corner or something, or maybe in from the side or whatever, to be able to bolt the bottom side. So I still have to do that, and I still need to come up with a strap to hold this down. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the way that's turning out. The tank has got plenty of access. I need to come up with some caps and a vent for up here and get that all taken care of, but pretty much that part is done for the most part there. I banged out the lid of this a little bit, so now it closes better. It's not straight by any way, shape, or form, nor do I want it to be, but at least now it closes and opens, so that's pretty nice. And while we're talking about the bed, before we stick it back on, I'll tell you, I did get a handle in here on the bed, on the tailgate, and Julie's kind of colored in some of that stuff. I can't talk. So just a simple latch on there, and you can see it just folds open, and then once it latches right onto that little piece of angle iron up there, so that's pretty cool. Easy peasy, gonna give us plenty of access to that whole area back here behind. So yeah, that tailgate scenario is gonna be pretty nice when we go to try to access all that stuff up in that hole, wherever it is. And I've also got the lights stuck on there now. Connor blacked those out, so those look a lot better with our truck being blacked out than they did green. Still have to wire those up. Got a little section of wiring that's, why can I not line that up? Already over there in the frame that has got a plug on it, so we can unplug it and wire it onto the bed, so when the bed comes on and off, we don't have to cut wires, so that'll be nice. And let's see, what else? Oh, the wiring for the lights. I didn't end up changing anything. I actually hooked some 12 volts to it, and they work. So I didn't know if they was going to work or not. I know those trucks that they come off of are usually 24 volt, and it turns out that apparently they just run that part on 12 volt. Now there is like a little night type light or something in there for probably when they're in a convoy or something that I cannot get to power on with the 12 volts. So I probably would need 24 volts to run that, but I don't need them for my scenario because the tail lights and the brake lights work. So that's all I was really going for on that. So that'll be great right there. So that's all good. I think now I got to probably go ahead and get the wiring done and finish up a few other little loose ends, and then I think we can get the bed over there onto the truck.
Well, I'm working in my office and I'm getting a little frustrated with YouTube. Now that we have 10,000 subscribers, and thank you for that, we now qualify to have a merchandise shelf, which is that little line of clothing that's listed below this video. You may notice all of those t-shirts that are across there say That Rust Life. Those are my t-shirts as well. They're on the Hardcore Fab Teespring store. But for some reason, YouTube refuses to promote or advertise the Hookers and Blow t-shirts. The full color t-shirts, posters, stickers, and mugs, tumblers, all that kind of fun stuff is over on the Teespring store. If you click on any one of those pictures on that merchandise shelf, it will take you to the Teespring store, and then you will see our promoted items and be able to support Hookers and Blow by purchasing any of the merchandise that is listed there. Of course, you're supporting the channel and us as a whole by purchasing anything that's in our Teespring store, but I really wanted right below our ads to have nice fun pictures of our mugs and stickers and t-shirts, but YouTube is saying no. I've been fighting with them for weeks on this. I haven't wanted to be bringing it to your attention, hoping that the issue would be resolved. It's still not resolved, so I just thought I'd put it out there. That shelf, that's ours. Support us. Thank you.
it out, guys. The bed is mounted, the boom is mounted, the winch is mounted. We've got cable strung on the winch. We've got our box up there covering up all of our fuel system. We are pretty much there on the back of the truck. We've even got a big hook on the back here. Check this bad boy out. So I was at a swap meet a while back, and my buddy Harold over at Owens Metalworks, I went through his booth and I seen this hook, and I was like, okay, well, I gotta have that for hookers and blow. He knew right exactly where I was going with the hook when I picked it up, and he would not let me buy it. He just said, take it, it has to go on the back of hookers and blow. So I got a special shout out for that. Thank you again, Harold, for that. That was awesome. So now we officially have a hook on the back of hookers and blow. I think there's only one thing left to do to officially make her a hooker, and that is to hook something. So I got her backed up here against Old Crow, and I'm going to hook up Old Crow. We'll see if we can lift the front end of Old Crow off the ground. So let's see here. Of course, I'm just a little bit short. Story of my life. There we go. That's it. Old Crow is officially off the ground on the front. How freaking awesome is that? We officially have a hooker. See you guys on the next video.